Hello, everybody. This is Tom Eckert here. You're listening to my podcast, Numerology, a GPS for the soul. This is your place to learn about the true power of numerology and how to use it to bring out the best in yourself, understand your loved ones better, take wise decisions, and prepare for your future. In other words, how to live your life aligned with your true destiny. Take your time to educate yourself and share these podcasts with your friends and family so they too can enjoy the great benefits of numerology. Enjoy! Hello everyone, and welcome to all my listeners to another exciting episode. Today we're going to talk about a unique phenomenon that doesn't happen with any other number but the 9. But before I say anything further, if you are new here, I want to welcome you to my podcast. In this podcast, we discuss numerology as a path for inner transformation, spiritual growth, and self-understanding. I attempt to make numerology accessible and applicable for everyday life matters and do my best to provide you with grounded information so that you can apply numerology in order to live a better life, a more conscious and balanced life aligned with your soul and true purpose. Now, here are a few ways you can dive deeper into numerology should you wish to do so. First of all, you can book yourself a numerology reading with me. In a reading, you can ask any question that is burning in your life and get precise answers on a multitude of topics. You can read more about my numerology readings and what I offer and contact me through the link in the episode description. Now, if you wish to go deeper into numerology and perhaps even pursue it as a career, I want to invite you to check out my numerology study paths. First of all, check out my self-study numerology course to learn the fundamentals of numerology in a comprehensive way at your own pace on your mobile, on your tablet, or your laptop. Secondly, if you want to take it a step deeper, you can sign up to my complete path of certification from beginner to numerology expert and get certified as a professional numerologist. To read more about both of these study paths, check out the links in the episode descriptions. Without further ado, let us dive into today's very interesting topic. Now, I often speak about how no number is either positive or negative by nature. It is simply a potential that can be expressed and used in many different ways. How we embody a number is highly dependent on our level of consciousness and maturity of soul. Now, today we're exploring some special phenomena that take place when someone happens to have 3 or more repeating 9s in their core numbers. Even though all numbers have their unique beauty, I always openly say that I have a slight bias towards number 9. And by the way, this started before I knew anything about numerology. I simply love its essential energy, its universality, its greatness. And yet, 9's hugeness and intensity and even greatness can also turn sideways. So I want to share with you some of the interesting, powerful, and sometimes difficult aspects of having a multitude of 9s in your chart. This is a unique phenomenon for several reasons. First, because number 9 is the only number that contains all other numbers. And you can check it for yourself. Simply add up all numbers together. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 all the way to plus 8. You end up getting 36. And again, 3 plus 6 equals 9. You can even take it a step further. Add the 9, right? Plus 7 plus 8 plus 9, you get a 45. 4 plus 5 equals 9. So 9 literally includes all the numbers. And the second reason is because it is the last number on the scale from 1 to 9. And that has its own unique impact on one's chart. So as you'll come to see, these elements and a few more make the amazing and luminous 9 also challenging in pretty surprising ways. These unique and challenging sides of the 9, and many other numbers for that matter, are not often spoken about. And that's why I love creating these episodes that really present different angles to sense and see the effect of numbers on our life. So they're not often spoken about, and they leave many people baffled and perplexed, not understanding why they're experiencing certain difficulties and peculiarities in their life. So I want to start by saying that the choice of the soul to embody a central 9 in a chart is already a sign that a person will have to deal with many life experiences, good and bad, simply because, by essence, the 9 forces you to go through as many experiences as you can, more than all other numbers. After all, it is the number of wisdom and completion, and as such, it will put you through many life experiences, often in a rather short period of time, relatively speaking. Right? So you may feel that already at the age of 30, for example, you've gone through so much. You've been here, done that, tried this, tried that. You know what I mean? Internally, externally, it throws at you multitudes of experiences. Literally, you can think about it like including all the numbers, as we said earlier. It throws at you all of these experiences. Now, when this tendency is amplified by repeating 9s, this adds a dimension of excess to the person's experience. So as I've mentioned earlier, the 9 contains all numbers, and if it also repeats itself in your chart, you'll probably be thrown more intensely into the gushing wild waters of life's experiences, often being overwhelmed and even inundated by a multitude of experiences, both internal and external, that really stretch you to the edge. You see, the number 9 is a number of big demands. It doesn't necessarily go easy on you. And in a sense, it's a two-edged sword. It gives you great potential and amazing strength, and simultaneously throws you into the fires of initiation, oftentimes without mercy. So it goes big in both ways. So just don't be surprised if you read about the qualities of number 9 in a book or via an online numerology report, and you don't find this side of number 9 depicted sufficiently or expressed at all. 9 can be very intense to embody. Now, number 9 has the role of ending the number cycle, as I already mentioned earlier. In that way, it's very important in life cycles, but also in our soul journey, as it marks final lessons and closures, right? So in cycles, for example, when we get to a personal year number 9, it's an important point in our cycle. It's bringing everything we learned in that cycle together and prepares us for the cycle to come. It's a very charged evolutionary time. When it comes to the soul journey, right, this can mean, for example, attaining new spiritual heights, insights, and realizations. The soul wants to take on that pathway during a particular incarnation. But with repeating 9s, this can get a bit extreme. So due to the excess in 9s, usually when I say excess, I mean 3 or more, a person will feel that things end as quickly as they started. Many things will come into their life, but will also disappear very quickly. And it can sometimes feel as if things are constantly ending for you, as if things are taken away all the time. People, places, jobs, opportunities, and so on. And it is strange because you haven't necessarily done anything to bring that about. It just suddenly happens. Things vanish as quickly as they've arrived. So, with multitude of 9s in your core numbers, and by the way, if you're not familiar with the core numbers, just check up my episodes. I have, I believe, 2 episodes. One talking about the 5 core numbers, and one about the 3 most important core numbers you need to really learn and study. So, with the multitude of 9s in your core numbers, you may need to regularly deal with endings, with goodbyes, with parting ways, with things, with people, with places, etc., and with letting go of internal and external realities in accelerated speeds more than most people. And so it's good to be aware of that, because when it simply happens to you without awareness, you may see it as bad fate. With awareness, though, you can embrace the lesson of endings and come to have great insights into the transient nature of things and learn to live without attachment. That can be an incredibly spiritually expanding. And yet it's also healthy to acknowledge the challenging side of it all and to give yourself the space to digest it. Okay? Now, on the same line of thought, but with a slightly different twist, another aspect of repeating 9s has to do with the experience of grief and loss. And what's so unique about it is that it can be both physical and non-physical, meaning that repeating 9s can bring about actual loss in life. For example, losing dear people to us and encountering death more often than other numbers. But it can also produce an inner experience of loss, even if on the outside nothing seems to have been lost. So people may feel this unexplained feeling of grief accompanying their life, deep tears of loss staring up inside of them, but a loss that isn't necessarily external, more like a feeling of having lost something dear from within, perhaps a longing of the soul for home, a sense of distance from that primordial, original home. And so while 9 can add a lot of lightness, fire, power, and energy to your chart, when excessive, it can also add heaviness, because it's just a lot to deal with, a lot of pain. And it can definitely feel like too much at times, which again can come as a surprise, because those of us who know number 9 know its expanding, limitless quality. And suddenly that twist in the plot, which really brings about that heaviness, can really come as a surprise if we don't truly understand this side of number 9. Now, it's important to say at this point that death, loss, and grief on any level are part of life, and that the choice to embody multiple 9s is intentional. There's no mistake there. So even having excess is not a mistake. It's an intention. We need to learn something through that. We need to face something through that. Sometimes the soul wants to learn deeply and fully the meaning of endings and closures with all the emotional price that it entails. Next, I want to speak about a very, very unique phenomenon that I discovered over the years that can happen only with number 9. But before I keep talking any further, if you are enjoying this podcast, my dear friend, and want to keep learning more grounded, applicable, high-quality numerology, make sure to click the follow or subscribe button and turn on the notification bell on the platform you're listening from and become part of my numerology family. Also, make sure to check out the questions at the end of the episodes. I'd love to hear from you. It really helps me know more about you, my listeners, and provide you with better content. Having said that, let us keep going. So, over the years of giving numerology consultations to many people of many cultures and every age, I've noticed a unique phenomenon that occurs when one's life path number is not a 9, but is surrounded by an expression number, soul edge number, and personality numbers that are all 9s. And this can only happen with number 9. In such a case, very often the person will be pulled away from their life path. You see, the 9 has a very strong energy and gravity. And as a result, even though the life path is the most central number in one's chart, the 9s will pull the person away from that life path number. And that's why sometimes people won't feel connected to their life path number, or on some level feel somewhat off track. The 9 is grand and magnetic, and it is easy to be pulled into its field of gravity. And when it is literally surrounding your life path, it is quite hard to find your center. And that's a unique phenomenon, as I've already mentioned, that happens only with the 9. No other number can appear in all 3 locations when not occupying the life path. And in a way, it's a specific path of destiny. Having that template, so to speak, having that arrangement that requires of the person to strive to overcome the egoic connections with the 9, or the temptation to gravitate towards its charismatic and magnetic energy and align with their life path number. You see, you don't want to turn your back at your life path, even though the energy of the 9 is extremely tempting to lean into because of all of its magnetism. Now, you want to align with your life path, regardless of what that number is. That's one of the most important things to do. And it's important to know that you won't lose your powerful 9s. But, you will have to align those 9s with the purpose of your life path and not the other way around. And I've met people who felt extremely disconnected, even felt like this kind of dislike towards their life path, because 9 seems so much cooler, so much more energetic and open and all-inclusive, while I don't know, if I have a 4 or a 2 or a 6 or whatever it is in that center, it seems slightly less appealing. But we have to remember, this is not an ego game. We're talking about our actual structure, like who we are. We cannot fake it. We must align with our core. Now, I also want to speak about the great appetite of the 9 and what happens when this appetite is amplified. You see, 9 wants to devour life. They want to go to places, to reach high and far. They are grandiose. And that's part of their tremendous beauty and radiance. When in their power, this makes for a very powerful being with a strong sense of destiny, mission, and contagious idealism. But with repeating nines, the appetite, to expand and devour it all can simply make a person confused. And it's not that they lack wishes and passions, but rather that there are just too many of them, and it makes it very hard to find what the heck one really wants to go for. So the appetite is so big, and one feels as though they want to try out everything. And because it's never possible to try out everything, it may leave the person with nothing. So even though 9 is a powerful number with a clear sense of destiny, the excessiveness may lead to a somewhat opposite experience of not knowing what the hell I'm supposed to be doing. That's why it's highly important to gain mastery over the 9 and remember the Buddhist tenet of the middle line, of approaching everything with mildness and without exaggeration. Super, super important in this context. Now, lastly, I want to say that excessive 9s amplify the fire element significantly, and that naturally influences the heart energy. On the one hand, the person becomes extremely generous, sometimes to a fault. They have an uncanny ability to say yes to so much. That's truly inspiring. But sometimes the ability to stop themselves or set boundaries is lost in this process. On the other hand, the excess fire of the repeating 9s can intensify the person's anger and turn them from very generous and altruistic people to violent and sometimes even, vicious. It's as if they suddenly turn into a dragon, that burns everything around them. Definitely something to be aware of. Number 9 has much power, my friends, but it has to be harnessed with caution. So as you can see, number 9 brings much more to the table than what we may think or what we may have thought to begin with. As the biggest number and the ending number, it certainly stands out in the lessons it brings our way, which is both a blessing and a challenge. It's also the only number that can engulf a non-9 life path number all the way, making for a very unique soul path. It comes to teach us that more is not always better, that endings are as much part of life as new beginnings, that powerful energy and magnetism don't always lead us where we want to really be, and that assuming a middle way can come in very handy when dealing with great passions and desires. So hopefully this gives you more food for thought and perhaps an expanded perspective on number 9 and also the power of numerology to really analyze who you are and what's going on in your life. And before we just wrap this up, if you are enjoying this podcast, if you have enjoyed this episode and want to keep learning in-depth, high-quality numerology, make sure to click the follow or subscribe button on the platform you're listening from, turn on the notification bell, and become part of my numerology community, my friends. Remember also to leave your answers to the questions at the end of the episodes. It helps me know you better and provide you with better content. And also, don't forget to check out my professional numerology readings to get to know yourself. And of course, to check out my self-study numerology course and in-depth numerology certification studies if you want to acquire deeper mastery of this fantastic art of numerology. I really hope you enjoyed this episode, as I did, definitely. And as always, I'll see you in the next episodes. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. If you did, and you want to go deeper into numerology, check out my website, tom-eckert.com. You can also book a numerology reading or even study numerology yourself through my courses. I'll see you in the next episode.